and welcome back to the most amazing channel on the internet. I am your host, Misssss Mystery. Well, actually, wouldn't you love it if that was my name? I feel like I'd love it. Maybe I should change it by default. It's actually Rebecca Jane Felgate, but like whatever. Call me Misssss Mystery. I'd kinda like it. So today we are talking the top 10 creepy unsolved mysteries part 2, just for you. And also, for this part, I've had a zit that's joined me so we can all welcome our new hosting friend. Hello! Maybe you can't even see them with these lights to be honest, but it's here. Before we get into this video, I want to ask you guys what your favourite mystery in history is. I often wonder what really happened to Adolf Hitler. Damn, I just realised I should have put that on the list. Anyway, there's always a part 3. Let me know your thoughts and favourite mysteries in the comment section down below. If you haven't yet liked the video, then please go ahead and do so because it makes me really happy. 1 like for me, 1 like for the zit. Right? If you want to check out our sources there in the description box, as well as links to our most amazing Instagrams. Stick around, it's a great video, I think you're gonna love it. Coming in at number 10, we have the sleeping sickness. Encephalitis lethargica is a bizarre sickness that swept first across Europe and then the wider world in the winter of 1916 before it disappeared in the 1930s. It was awful and fatal. In around 12 years, 500,000 people were affected, with a third of them dying. Even those who survived were left as hollow shells of humans who lay motionless for hours on end. At first people got sleepy and then they contracted a fever and found it hard to move. Eventually they'd fall unconscious and many never woke up. The illness perplexed scientists, and to this day we still have no idea how the illness came about and how it spread. If it came around again today, we'd initially be none the wiser of what to do. Coming into number 9, we have the hum. Let me just preface this by saying that I love trumpets. I am making a snap decision right now to straight up say that trumpets are my favourite instruments because they're so good. Bring on the trumpets. It isn't just me who loves them though. Strange trumpet noises have been coming from the sky and nobody knows why. Ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you the hum. Trumpet sounds have been heard coming from the sky in many parts of the world for over a decade now. The noise kind of sounds like high school band practice and has been heard in Canada, the United States, Belarus, Sweden, the Ukraine and Germany. It seems that the phenomena is officially termed the hum, and as of yet scientists and geologists don't know what's causing it. NASA claims it's normal, saying that it's the Earth making natural radio emissions that sound strange to us. NASA said if humans had radio antennas instead of ears, we would hear remarkable symphonies of strange noises coming from our own planet. Maybe that explains it? I don't know. Scientists call them tweaks and whistlers. I don't know. Trumpets. Sky trumpets. Why? As it's nearly Halloween, I'm dressed kinda witchy today and I really want to go to Boston. I want to talk about the Salem witch trials at number 8. I suppose the mystery here is mass hysteria, but does that really explain why 200 people were accused of being witches and 19 people tried and killed for the crime? The deadliest witch hunt in history of colonial North America began when a group of teenage girls started accusing people of witchcraft. But then, some of the accused even started acting possessed and had fits and the like, and other people in the town would band together to say that they swore such and such was flying on a broomstick or cavorting with the devil. They swore! How bizarre. While some historians simply cite mass hysteria, some people think that it had something to do with bad bread. More specifically, an outbreak of rye ergo, a fungus that causes hallucinations. We've got a friend at number 7. It's Nessie. Oh, Nessie! Where you hiding, hen? It's my best Scottish accent, and I would like to apologise to the population of Scotland for that brazen attempt at even trying. Scotland. Nessie. Okay, enough. Maybe. So the Loch Ness Monster is an enduring mystery and of course a cryptozoology conspiracy that has been going strong for a long time. So long now that Loch Ness near Fort William in Scotland, one of my favourite places in the world, sees regular tourism from monster seekers. So setting aside the fame and drama, a lot of people have seen something strange in the lake in the Scottish Highlands. In 1933, George Spicer said that he and his wife saw a most extraordinary animal cross the road in front of their car. They were driving near the loch and, I mean, what was it? Apparently it had a long neck, a wavy kind of neck, and it was thick looked like an elephant's trunk. They described it as being around 4 feet. That same year, a motorcyclist said that they nearly run over something of the same description. In 1934, the infamous photograph emerged, and the rest, as they say, is history. The authenticity of the image is up for debate, but how do we explain the multiple sightings? There are a lot of Scottish mysteries, but this is perhaps the most enduring. Coming into number 6, we have the MARFA lights. What are the MARFA lights? They're mysterious glowing orbs that have appeared in the desert outside of the Texas town of MARFA near Route 67. They've been mystifying people for over 136 years. The lights were recorded first in 1883, but First Nations groups had been aware of them for years. There have been around 5 sightings each year of the lights over the past 50 years, and as of yet nobody knows what causes them. Some people think they're ghosts, spirit orbs, others say they're atmospheric phenomena. We just don't know. More lights at number 5. We have ball lightning. Okay, hands up who loves the storm, because I really do. I get so excited by storms. I'm always like running to the window and opening it, or going out to the porch if I'm in a place that has a porch, and watching storms pass over because it's just so great. It's the theatre of nature and I am here for it. So we know what causes lightning, positive and negative imbalances within clouds or between clouds and the ground, but there is a strange phenomena called ball lighting, which scientists have been scratching their heads over. 1638 was the first known sighting of ball lighting, when a so-called great ball of fire came through a window of a church in England. Yikes. Researchers from China accidentally recorded a ball lighting event whilst studying a 2012 thunderstorm using video cameras and spectrometers. They still don't even know what caused it though, even though they observed it. Here is more corner dash cam. Editor's clip. Coming into number 4, we have the Chicago fire. The fire of 1871 was absolutely devastating. The city burned from the 8th to the 10th of October in 1871, and it left 100,000 people without homes. So what, or more to the point, who started it? The popular legend is that a cow owned by Irish immigrant Mrs. Catherine O'Leary started it. You may have even heard the song about it, but it is utter slander. Poor old Mrs. O'Leary never did it. She was a poor Irish Catholic immigrant, and she was made a scapegoat because at the time the US were very distrustful of Catholics. There was also a lot of Irish racism in this area around the time. Reportedly, Michael Earn of the Chicago Tribune was to blame for fanning the flames on Mrs. O'Leary's reputation, but it was already destroyed because people across the world are singing songs about her cow. She and the cow were pardoned by Chicago in 1997, but it was far too late for them. They were long dead. So if Mrs. O'Leary and her leggy cow weren't to blame, then who was? We don't know. It's still a mystery. Mystery or parallel universe? You decide at number 3 as we talk about Dorothy Eady, or SETY. Dorothy was born in Blackheath in London to Catholic Irish parents, and at the age of 3, she suffered a terrible fall down a flight of stairs. It should have killed her, but luckily she didn't die. She ended up in hospital, but in the time that followed, she started acting very strangely. How so? Well, she developed foreign accent syndrome and started ranting and raving about ancient Egypt, something that she'd never talked about before. At church, she was actually thrown out of her Catholic school for declaring her love for Osiris, the Egyptian god of the underworld and the judge of the dead. Her parents decided to take Dorothy to the British Museum, which is where it all kicked off. She saw a photograph of the New Kingdom Temple and loudly declared, "This is my home, but where are all the trees? Where's the garden?" Now it turned out the photograph was of the temple of SETY I, the father of Ramesses the Great. Dorothy became so absorbed by the museum that she met a keen Egyptologist and was encouraged to study ancient Egypt herself. She even moved to Egypt before the age of 30, and she changed her name to SETY. When she arrived, she kissed the ground and claimed that she'd come home to stay. This is when she started having visions. She said that she was visited by an apparition known as Hora. In hieroglyphics, she wrote 70 pages dictating her former life as a priestess of the Temple of SETY. Now this was done with scary accuracy. In an attempt to prove herself, she led archaeologists to a site in the SETY temple ruins, and excavations uncovered things that fully matched her visions and descriptions. SETY died in 1981, and the New York Times hailed her as the most most intriguing case of reincarnation. What happened at the DYATLOV Pass? You tell me! At number 2. We still don't know what went down on the evening of February the 1st and the morning of February the 2nd, 1959 in the northern Ural Mountains. A group of 9 cross-country skiers who were all experienced winter trekkers set up camp in the mountains, but by the morning, they were all dead. One body had evidence of a blunt force trauma consistent with a brutal assault. Another had 3rd-degree burns. One had been vomiting blood. 6 of the group died of hypothermia. One of the group was missing their tongue and their eyes. Another of the group's clothing was found to be radioactive. Like, what? It seems that something in the night caused the group to tear out of their tents without proper clothing to face the sub-zero snowy climate. The Soviet authorities did investigate the suspicious death, but the case remains unsolved. Leading theories include an animal attack, an avalanche, infrasound panic, or assassination. Others say it could be paradoxical undressing from hypothermia, which causes people to act crazily. Some people even say that it could be aliens, and to be honest, it sounds like the most likely explanation, right? The area remained closed for investigation for 3 whole years, but it's now open, and it has been named the DYATLOV Pass in memoriam of the group leader. Recently, Russia have actually launched a new investigation into what happened, so maybe one day we'll find out. Finally, coming into number 1, we've got the universe. There is no bigger mystery than how the universe began, and I mean it's kind of mind-bending, right? If we truly knew how the universe began, it would help us understand our beginnings, sure, but it would also cause a lot of chaos. What if there isn't a god, and what if there is? What if there is a god but it's absolutely nothing like we imagined? While there are a number of atheists out there and agnostics like me, the majority of the world is actually religious. Right now a lot of the West believe in the Big Bang, even if we don't agree on what ignited it and what the implications are. But what if it wasn't a Big Bang? What if our universe was the beginning that came from the end of something else? What if there's more than one universe? Are we living in a multiverse? Is the world a disc on the back of 4 elephants carried by an enormous turtle? I honestly don't think we're ready for the answers yet. If religion can already cause war when we don't know what started the universe, imagine what would happen if we did. So guys, that was the top 10 creepy unsolved mysteries part 2. I know it's a longer video, but I know that you guys love a good mystery. Would you like a part 3? Perhaps we can talk about Adolf Hitler like we did a little bit at the beginning of the video, because I think that's a pretty good mystery too, and very scary if he escaped. Let me know your favourite historical mysteries in the comments section down below, and perhaps if you've mentioned some that haven't been on this list or part 1, then I'll cover them in a 3rd part. For now though, I am your host, Miss Mystery. I'm sticking with it. I'm gonna go off, solve some crimes, be a sleuth, because you know I like that word. But in the meantime, please do like this video, share it with a friend. If you want to read more about the mysteries, perhaps you'll uncover something, check out the links in our description box, where you can also find links to everyone who went into making this video. I am your host. I'll catch you soon. See you later. Thank you. Bye.